Well, hi there, Winning Ways fans, and welcome to another show where we've got a really full show, lots of interesting stuff going on. We're going to be chatting about the 2-year-old sale to Lee Scribanti and our friend Graham Hawkins. They're involved there. That's coming up, so don't miss that. That's going to be a big one. And we had a very big sporting weekend, and I watched a bit of the sport. My chief honcho here and Expresso mate, Laf, what did you think of the rugby firstly?
The conditions weren't great. I think they handled the conditions better. They were competitive. They had a full go. I think the better team won on the day, but once the conditions were like it made it difficult for them. They made a couple of errors and they had chances. They gave away a couple of soft tries, kicking the ball into Corey Jones' chest when he was 5 meters from the line, and things like that don't help. But they're still a very good side.
I watched a game with a lot of interest and quite a financial interest. And I must say, maybe because of my financial interest, but I'm not sure, as I watch a lot of replays, I believe that the Crusaders were offside at most breakdowns, okay? And
the Hurricanes.
The Hurricanes at least, they were offside at most breakdowns, and certainly got a lot of help from the refs.
Yeah,
the scrums, as far as the scrums were concerned, there should have been a yellow card early on because they kept collapsing the scrum and any normal ref. And I think that it comes back to one thing. You cannot have refs who are not completely impartial. And Glenn Jackson is a New Zealander in front of a New Zealand crowd. Yeah. I think that he was under pressure.
Possibly. You know, I agree, their quick defence was bordering on offside all the time.
It was, if Yankees had had an extra second or two, it makes a huge difference to his tactical kicking. He was under pressure the whole time. The line was under pressure the whole time. I could see outside backs offside at every single opportunity.
There were a lot of offsides.
And, you know, it just made it very difficult. I think the Lions were magnificent in defeat. They handled it extremely well. They didn't lose their tempers. They got out there and did the job. And they're a very good side.
They're a very good team. And then the football, James, the football's starting. Next week's the league. We had the Community Shield, and Mourinho gets a quick trophy to get himself started, but not much between the two teams. Not a great game, James, and I just think that from my perspective, Man United are going to have to change things a lot because they had no speed across the middle. When you're playing Fellaini, Carrick, Rooney, the only guy at speed was Lingard. He got their goal, and the guy who's sulking up front, what's his name, Marshall, because he's lost his number. Yeah. He's got speed. The rest of them have got no speed. There's just a shortage of speed. They need some speed in their midfield, but they're going to be a good side.
Well, the limited amount I know about football is that it seems like the Mourinho is a big park the bus fan. He loves parking the bus, you know, and he's got the four at the back, 5 in front of them, and they seem to play in tandem with each other, and it's really going to be very difficult to break them down. And I think that they'll probably concede the least goals in the league this year.
Well, let's hope so. I think they'll do well, but it's a long way to go.
Long way to go. As far as the sport's concerned, we're in a very negative frame of mind. We saw the Springbok rugby side that was selected. There's some guys in there. I really cannot believe Rudy Page. I can't believe he can get into the Springbok side. He's had his chances. But that's the way sport is in South Africa. Congratulations to the DA on winning some very good election seats. Congratulations to the ANC on holding them in many other seats. So that's as far as the whole world, politics and sport is concerned. Let's go and have a look at 3 to follow.
And they are off in the Travers. Flower Alley is the winner.
His dad, Distorted Humor, he's probably one of his best sons at stud.
I'll have another, wins the Derby. I'll have another in the Preakness.
Lilacs and Lace, 48-1, upset.
He's just a big, strong, leggy horse.
Right, well, let's go and have a look at our 3 to follow, and we go to Durbanville, and let's go and have a look at race 1 at Durbanville. Glenn Cotson one of those trainers that he steps him out, they're not really tuned up, and we think that these horses will improve. Two of his and the three to follow, and we go to the first race. It was a 1200 meter at Durbanville. Impimpi is a path for gelding. Nice to see Des Scott involved in the partnership here, and you'll see him, he's a chestnut right in the middle of the racetrack.
Yeah, he's, as you say, Glenn's getting these horses out and racing, but the pace is on here. Flower Blue, Heracles showing good speed up there as well, and Imperial Dancer. So the speed's on from the jump, and this horse finds it can't quite go with him. You'll see in the brown, it's now, if the angle's right, third last, or in the other back there, the chestnut horse, fourth last, sorry. And he has to go for run down the inside, because they're going very quickly, and this is his debut run, so he's been niggled at for a long time, James.
Yeah, and you find that these horses that have had a run, a lot of them have had a run, they really know what it's all about, especially at Durbanville with this type of conditions, where they're going along on the top of the ground, they're really enjoying themselves. It's very hard for a horse that's had one run.
Yeah, you can see it being scrubbed on the fence, gets a left-handed stick, it's we're on the fence going past the paw now. The winner's coming up the middle, that's Summer Sky, it beats New Caledonia. They finished best of the lot. But this horse has been ridden for a long way, and he stays on, shows some good resolution for a horse making his debut, and this horse can only improve, James.
Well, he's bred by Drockenstein. He's by Pathfork, who looks like a real bright horse on the horizon. Drockenstein stud bred him, and you'd expect him to improve quite a lot. We're going to move on from there, and we're going to have a look at the next race at Durbanville, race 2. And they went 1,200 metres. This was the fillies and mares, and we picked up the next Glenn Cotson inmate called Insignia. She ran a very good race, this filly. She did have the advantage of the draw, and she used it in the early part, but just greenness got the better of her.
Yeah, she gets away well. She's out and, you know, as we say, she's having a debut run, so it looks like she's really getting off well, but they're coming across very quickly from the outside, and the pace horses are the horses that feature. Turnpike, that ends up winning the race. Whispering Light and Ring of Var, they're showing good speed, and this horse doesn't drop too far off them, but for a debut, again, it gets urged to get into the race and stays on well as well.
She's by Noordhoek Flyer. She's bred by the Gary Player Farm, and Peter de Beer owns her. You know those famous red and silver colours. And he certainly picks up very well-bred fillies and gets them for his broodmare band, because that's what he's looking at improving. This filly will improve a lot.
He's involved with the Elusive Fort, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yeah. He's a very bright man as far as breeding.
Stallion's doing well for him too. But here, Turnpike, Whispering Light, they're getting on with it. And this horse now comes down the inside fence. Both of these horses of Glenn's came down the inside. Gets the left-handed stick, and up the middle of the track, it's beaten by, for third by Emerald Gal, the Irish horse. But this is a good debut, James, not far off them.
Excellent debut. I think she'll improve a lot from that. She's got a lovely flat action. She looks like she knows what it's all about and will get better. Really good one to have a close look at in the future. We move on to Greyville on the Poly track, and this was a Saturday race meeting, and this Dean Canamere string doesn't stop with all these well-bred young horses that they pick out and bring here and run very well. This was Figara. I noticed he was nominated for the R1,000,000 Bloodstock South Africa sales race on the 14th of August at Scottsville. And so there was big raps on this horse. He shortened in the betting. He was drawn widest of all. Let's go and have a close look at him.
Yeah, they elect to get him into the race. Anthony Delpeche gets a good break on him, and he says get into the race because there were money on a couple of horses. And New York State of Mind is up there towards the inside. That is Chris Van Niekerk's horse. The horse that wins it, funny enough, doesn't get away well. That's a very nice horse by sale from Seattle called Wave Breaker, who runs in Biffov's colours in the green right at the back. But here's Figaro's got beautifully placed third.
Yeah, lovely action, this horse. He goes to the front early in the straight and looks like he's going to win. Just greenness and lack of a run really does him in. But here he moves round them. He's, as you can see, he's a big galloper. He's bred by Milkwood Stud. He's by Silvana out of a Jalad mare, one of those famous blushing fairy, you know, all those fairies from
PE.
Yeah.
Well, here it has hit the front going well, and for all intents and purposes, it looks like they've timed this right in the debut run. But on the outside, New York State of Mind is picking it back. But right down the inside, Alec Forbes is coming with a tremendous run on Wave Breaker. But Figaro is sticking to his guns here. He's still in the fight.
Yeah, I think he's a very nice horse, and I think that only greenness and lack of a run got the better of him. I think he'll win some races, this horse. He really looks like he can run. He's, as you say, you've got the pedigree. When you buy Silvana out of a Jalad map, there's a lot to like about him. It looks like a good bunch of 3 to follow, so we're going to go and have a look at Blast from the Past, see if you can remember the voice that commentated this one.
Open, soft falling rain, pulling clear, soft falling rains won the SA Nursery by 3.
Racing in the 2000 Guineas. Gates fly and they're racing in the Godolphin Mile.
They're off and racing.
Weight didn't matter. Class tells, soft falling rain, much too good. Soft falling rain, an impressive Guineas winner. Soft falling rain is drawing clear.
He's made it 7 out of 7 by winning here today.
But it's soft falling rain who is powering away. We'll see out the mining style. A high-class performer wins the Nay of Joel Stakes.
Arabian Lass settled in, all set for the Style Magazine Challenge. And away they go. Mystery Damsel broke best of all, in fact, with Whistling Dixie along the inside. Kel Stoopy's going up there to make sure it's a good gallop. Eastern Conqueror, Arabian Lass, 3 of the Millard runners in the first 4. As they head on now past the 1400, Kel Stoopy, the leader from Eastern Conqueror, gone up to race second. Harry's Charm is circling runner. She's not coming from the back today. She's going to go up to the front. They were followed by Asmara. She's also trying to overcome a wide draw. In fact, there's still a lot of jostling for position. Dakar and Temple Bar also right there. Divided Loyalty's back in the field with Whistling Dixie. Behind that is Makeshift. Mystery Damsel's now dropped back through the runners. Bob's Fancy's at the rear of the field with Lexington Love on our outside. As it goes through the middle of the bend now, Eastern Conqueror, just the leader from Asmara, gone up second. Harry's Charm is on the fence in third spot. She'll have every chance to prove whether she gets a mile. Behind that is Dakar. Arabian Lass is also nicely poised to have a crack at the leaders. Then comes Kel Stoopy, Temple Bar behind that Eastern Conqueror. They were followed by Ladies Delight. Then inside of that is Whistling Dixie. They come down to the 400 now, out in front. Eastern Conqueror, just the leader. Harry's Charm, Whistling Dixie, Kel Stoopy, Arabian Lass, Divided Loyalty. They're all starting to have a crack at the leaders. Harry's Charm hit the front, but Arabian Lass is full of running on the outside. Arabian Lass, Whistling Dixie, a big thread along the inside. Down the outside, Bob's Fancy's unwinding a late challenge from the back of the field, but Arabian Lass got to the front where it mattered most, and Bob's Fancy will run second. Ladies Delight third. Grecian Girl was fourth, and then came Whistling Dixie, Divided.
Well, what a race that turned out to be. Arabian Lass, I think Tony Millard trained it at that stage. Yeah. The voice of the moment was none other than
Graham Hawkins. He hasn't called a race for 3 years. That's out of school.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just wasting his talent sitting there in those
Get
offices,
there,
those plush offices at Gold Circle, twiddling his fingers. I think he's playing Sudoku. Yeah. And he should actually be calling races.
Yeah, call a few races.
That's crazy.
Pick a few.
You know, to leave talent like that behind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's wasting his time playing golf as well.
Yeah, no, that's a waste of time.
That's a complete waste of time. I played with him on Thursday. Yeah. My God, he was useless. Anyway, at least he's doing some things well. We'll be talking to him next week, funny enough, about Gold Circle. This week, we know we're talking to him this week, but we're going to be talking to him next week about Gold Circle. We're going to move on and have a look at Plum of the Week.
Comes out for a run. Lady Linda takes it up. Mark My Card's a big runner, and Grey Light's running on now. Getting to the 200, Mark My Card, Lady Linda, and yes, Grey Light coming on powerfully now. And Grey Light comes forward to Mark My Card. Grey Light's going on though. Grey Light will win it. Second, Mark My Card. Third, Lady Linda, and Tender Trip.
Well, on your Interbet account, you could have got 3-1 about this filly. There was even a little 33-10. She had the blinkers. She had Anton Marcus. She had shown she stayed. She ran in a feature last time. She looked like the absolute business. She come down in the merit rating.
I think Arthur's ridden it twice and won in it twice.
Yeah, yeah. She's and she's quite a good filly, his daughter.
Yeah, she was very good.
Yeah.
And then she seemed to lose her way a bit, and I thought she was struggling to come back, but Joey's turned his string around very nicely.
Yeah, very good win, and that was the one you had to be on. Let's move on. We're going to go and look at current affairs.
Yes! If you love soccer and you play the tote, you won't believe what Interbet has to offer you, or the excitement of tote betting on your computer or your cell phone. It's simple. Choose your teams and your bets, work out what your combinations will cost, see how big the pool is, and place your bets. You can even track your bet live as it happens and get updates on your progress. It's all the fun of the tote on your phone. So what are you waiting for? Sign up now at www.interbet.co.za and you could be a winner.
JJ the jet plane, he knows he's something special and he stretches out in scintillating fashion. You're 6 lengths clear now, JJ. JJ the jet plane, we'll never see this type of performance again.
Right, well, the graduate of the week, and just take note, the next sale is the National 2-year-old sale. We'll be talking about that in your call, 18th and 19th of August. But the graduate of the week is Marinaresco, and what a graduate he turned out to be. He's a son of Silvano Maritzfontein bred, and he's out of a Fort Wood mare. And you know what he won. He won the Champions Cup, the Mike and Carol Bass Champions Cup. Well, that was fantastic. He looks like a horse to follow throughout his career. And if you want to buy this horse, you've got to go to the sale, because there's one like this at the sale, 18th and 19th of August. Right, and let's go straight into current affairs. And we're going to have a look at Ascot, because that was the big meeting of the weekend, apart from Flamingo Park, which we'll give you an update on. But Ascot, Gavin Larena went there to ride for the rest of the world with... he had a couple of nice partners, Sylvester de Souza and a Japanese guy. His name escapes me, but I can't.
No, that's not his name.
Yeah. It wasn't Yataki Taki.
No, it wasn't him. Wasn't him.
Okay.
No.
Gavin Larena won 2 races in his quest for the silver saddle, and unfortunately the other rides were not very good. But we're going to have a look at the first one of them, which was the Dubai duty-free Shergar Cup Stayers. Now, interestingly enough, we only got this race from the 600-meter mark, but he went to the front. He was on a horse that stayed like an unwanted niece, went to the front, and they decided to go around him. So he just sat and bided his time and then came back and won it. And well done to Gavin on his first winner at Ascot, and then he followed up later. But let's have a look at this.
2 furlongs with the lead. Sea of Heaven to the inside. Archvillain coming back. Oh, and one's gone wrong there. Notarize, I'm afraid, has broken down, dropped out of it. Gold Prince down the outside with Serena Gray, as now joining Sea of Heaven is Archvillain again. Archvillain and Gavin Larena from Kenichi Ikezoe, and Sea of Heaven. Gold Prince Haley Turner in 3rd position, and running on is Saigon City. Is a great race for the rest of the world here to the outside. Sea of Heaven on the inside. Archvillain fighting back, and Archvillain, what a debut for Gavin Larena. He's won it for Amanda Perrott on Archvillain. 2nd goes the way of Sea of Heaven.
Yeah, wonderful to see our local ladder James come through and win it. And the runner-up, ridden by Rigor Mortis.
No, he's a Japanese guy.
Okay, are they not allowed to move?
No, listen. You got it. The rest of the world only need to run 1st and 2nd. They ran 1st and 2nd. But Gavin's a very strong rider.
Gavin's an excellent rider, champion.
And 2 miles at Ascot. You're going to be blowing it. It's not like running at Harashika Shika 10.
Well, the runner-up guy was blown. He must have been training over 5 furlong. But anyway, well done to Gavin. That got the meeting started for Amanda Perrott. And at the beginning of the meeting, James, to win it, 25-1, Gav Lorena.
Well, they thought he had one ride with a chance, but the rest didn't look like it. Anyway, we move on and have a look at the Dubai Duty Free Shergo Cup over a mile. And this was a triumph for Hayley Turner. She's been out the saddle for a number of years. She retired. She decided to come back and ride for the girls in the Shergo Cup. And what a win this was.
Yeah, she's ridden in the Shergo Cup 10 times. She's on the grey horse. And here's the commentary.
Bar. Capo Rosso, the inside, taking off down the outer, Highland Kalori, and coming through as well, Banknu and a Heron, but it's Early Morning and Hayley Turner that leads them home here as they run towards the last furlong. Early Morning is in front, running on in Mel on the inside, and down the outer is Highland Kalori. Early Morning clinging on, half a furlong to last. It's Hayley in front on Early Morning, they're snapping away in behind. Early Morning still leads, and she's won it. Early Morning, Hayley Turner, back from retirement on a day that means so much to her. Gets home in front.
Yeah, Early Morning. James, I don't know the trainer, Harry Dunlop.
Harry Dunlop, yeah, he's a nephew of...
Must be the Dunlop clan.
Yeah, the Dunlop clan, yeah. He's one of the Dunlop clan. And fantastic for Hayley Turner. Yeah. I reckon she'll be back riding. I think.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think that, you know,
she's
very
done a
good.
Little
Sabbatical.
She's very good.
She's a very good rider.
She looked very fit in the finish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Not like your last bag.
Not like the stayers.
Let's move on and we're going to have a look at the Dubai Duty Free Shergo Cup Classic. And it's a handicap and Gav Lorena to the fore again. We've only got the last 500 metres for Richard Hannon. Let's go and see this one.
King of Dreams has been up there right on the extreme left, combative, in company with Danehill Kodiak. Real Dominion challenge then by Danehill Kodiak, combative on the inside. These are on from full court press, but it's Danehill Kodiak and Gavin Lorena looking for a double on the day. A 1-2 for the rest of the world. Half a furlong to go and Lorena stealing the show. It's Danehill Kodiak under the South African champ that wins, and a 1-2 for the rest of the world with combative second. Real Dominion in third place ahead of a...
Yeah, he was, Gab was hot favourite going into this. This was the third leg, and now he'd won 2 legs, and everyone thought he'd win the silver saddle. But James, in the last race, Thierry Jeannet came through and won it.
Well, that made the difference. Thierry Jeannet ended up winning the saddle, as you said. And when you think of it, Gavin Lorena's first rides at Ascot, fantastic to win 2 races. And he's staying for a week, and hopefully he gets a few rides. I'm sure he will. He wants to, you know, see what happens there. He's a guy not unhappy to get his saddle under his arm and go and ride anywhere.
Yeah, he's always been like that. James, funny, interesting thing about Thierry Jeannet, most of you remember him because he used to ride Trev, who won the Arc twice, tried for the hat-trick. And an interesting stat, James. When did Thierry Jeannet last win a race in the UK?
He's 54, 55, so it must have been a long time ago.
21 years.
Yeah, okay. Well done to Thierry Jeannet, but Thierry Jeannet's boss, who's cricket head Mabrik, ended up losing all those Al-Shabaab horses. They've taken them away
I found out about that, James. You know what happened? David Sheikh Joan said he's had 4 Group 1 winners this year. He spread his horses around with everybody. He's only got 3 or 4 with her. And she was told they're moving, the 3 or 4. And she said, it must be because they think I'm a woman. And Harry Herbert, who is probably the best manager in the world at the moment, they headhunted him from Hartley, I think it was.
Hartley,
He said, absolutely hogwash, absolute hogwash. She wasn't doing it for them, you know, but he didn't venture any reasons why. He didn't venture any reasons why. But Harry Herbert said that they're moving, and that's it. So you can, it just shows the nature of this game. You win the Arc 2 years in a row for them. Yeah. And then boom, they move.
I think it's terribly sad, you know. The Arc is the jewel in the crown in European racing, and really I think she did a wonderful job with this filly, and I thought that Creve got a terrible ride in the 3rd Arc that she was trying to win. But let's just have a look at this picture. We've got some picture up here apparently.
Yeah. Before you tell people who it is, let them have a look at this at home.
Well, I know who it is.
Yeah, you and I know.
It can only be 2 skinny young oaks, so that's got to be Spike Lorena and James Goodman. Because we're the only 2 guys who look like that today. You know, we're just in fine shape.
You guys at home are wondering, we're trying to get old photos in, and we've managed to get a few. And this one is sent us. We've got one for next week, which is equally compelling, if I can use that word. But the guy on the right here is a young, fit-looking.
Well, it looks like me.
Yeah, it's not James Goodman. It's Mike Azzi. The guy in the white shirt's Mike Azzi.
The other guy looks like me too.
And the guy who looks like him on the left is Scott Kenny.
Scott Kenny and Michael Azzi. My goodness gracious.
Two mates from
Shows
some
you,
time
you
back.
know what, to be a successful trainer, you've got to carry a bit of conditions. That's why we look like we do, lad.
Yeah, we're doing great. We're doing great.
Enough.
Absolutely. So wonderful. Thanks very much for the photograph. We've got one for next week. And next week, I worked out half it immediately. The second half I couldn't work out, but that'll be great to watch. But keep sending them in because they're very interesting.
You send them to James G at Gold Circle. That's where you send them. But we're going to take a break and we'll be back. Well, as I said, the other big race meeting of the weekend was Kimberley. And they had 3 listed races, so we don't show the replays, but we thought that we must give you the results of them. And the Flamingo Sprint was won by One Cool Cat. Now, this is an interesting horse. He's bred by High Flyers. He's a Bloodstock South Africa graduate. And Paul de Karma owns him. He bought him at a horses in training sale here.
Paul's always been a player in the game, year in, year out.
Yeah, he's a Tiger Ridge. And Colin Story rode him. So
sorry?
Sorry?
You say Paul de Karma is a Tiger Ridge?
No, One Cool Cat's a Tiger Ridge, okay? So Ian, get with the program. I know that you're a bit slow this morning, but anyway, we'll keep going with that. The RA Mile was won by Sundari for the Ralphs, and Candice Dawson. It wasn't her first winner in Kimberley. She went and won, I think, the mile in 2012.
Oh, well done to her.
Well done to Candice. She trains for the Ralphs, and she's doing very well. She trains outside Reinkiesfontein. And done extremely well. And they had the Horse of the Year awards at Kimberley. And the Horse of the Year was a horse called La Buana.
Yeah.
And he ended up running in the Stayers race, which he won. And he won it with 63 kilos. Amazing, amazing effort.
Good stayer.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. He's the Kimberley Horse of the Year. Trained by Tini Prinsloo.
Who?
Tini Prinsloo.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's a Bloodstock South Africa ready-to-run graduate. So,
who, Tini Prinsloo is?
No, you're getting it.
Sorry,
you're very far behind the game. Okay? Tini Prinsloo is not by Tiger Ridge either. He's not by AP Arrow. The horse is by AP Arrow. Okay. And it's interesting, this horse is owned by a syndicate called Sport of Kings, Leon Sotaro, who's making a bit of a name for himself. Okay. And well done to them, because they bought a couple of these older horses and done very well in Kimberley. And nice of them to win the Horse of the Year in Kimberley.
Very good.
So those were the 3 big ones.
I got some news out of America that's building up to be very interesting. Frosted. Now, we know Frosted is by Tappert, is a top horse. They're saying he's the best horse in America, and they're looking for the clash with California Chrome and the Breeders' Cup Classic. Now, last year, Frosted went to the race, James, and he got shired by American Pharaoh. Well
he
beaten
got shired all year by American
Pharaoh, yes. Yeah. Then he turned 4.
And American Pharaoh went to start.
Yes.
Lucky for him.
He won the Met Mile by 14 lengths.
Yeah.
And he won this weekend, he won the Whitney Stakes at a canter. And they're saying it's building up to be the race of the year. California Chrome versus Frosted in the Breeders' Cup. Should be interesting.
I think it's Kieran McLaughlin trains
him.
Right.
That's right.
And he's owned by Sheikh Mo and his team.
That's right.
Just talking about other things that were interesting in America. Well, he's not in America at the moment. Is Caravaggio. But he's by Scat Daddy, who is an American stallion, probably the best sprinting stallion in the world. And Scat Daddy died. And this horse won the Keeneland Phoenix Park Stakes, which is a very big pointer to the Classics next year.
Yeah. He's a flying machine.
He's a flying machine. It's the 15th time that Aidan O'Brien's won the Phoenix Stakes at Leopardstown. And this horse is clocked at 45 miles an hour at Ballydoyle, which is the fastest any horse has ever been clocked there.
Yeah.
45 miles an hour.
That is amazingly fast. And what's he going to go for?
Well, obviously, looking at the Middle Park Stakes, they don't know that he'll get the 7 furlongs or the mile. Yeah, he's a young horse. They're going to go for the Middle Park Stakes and see if he's good enough to go for the 2,000 guineas. That would be on his radar. But then, what I like about this horse is I think that he'll take over as a stallion, as a source of speed worldwide.
Yeah.
Caravaggio, keep his name in your book. He is very, very good. And
Pat Shaw.
Yeah.
Brilliant, eh?
Expat, South African, expat.
He's coming back, I believe.
He keeps coming back. He comes back for a month in July, and that's it.
That
he comes
I
back
believe he
and
came
sees
back.
all his mates.
They've straightened up the boomerang,
yeah,
and he's going to come back.
Well, he had his 800th winner. They had 7 winners over the weekend, him and Naresh Jaglal. Naresh Jaglal rode a 5-timer in Singapore, so that was fantastic. You know Naresh, he rode a lot for you. He's a very, very good little rider.
So well done. These Mauritian boys can ride.
So that's the story. The other big news is Anthony Del Pesh is now retained, not anymore by Aventure, but retained by Mary Slack. And he's going to be first rider and sponsored by Mary Slack, Wilga Bostruff, and I think Maritzfontein are going to sponsor him. And he's first rider to her, which is a fantastic move for him. You know who's brokered the deal?
Mike McCabe.
Mike McCabe.
Yeah, he loves his racing. He's
involved.
He's a sportsman.
Really, yeah.
James, will he get to ride the big horse overseas then, the Met winner?
It's very interesting to see what's going to happen. But I should think that would be the plan. Once you're retained by an owner.
Smart call.
Smart call, yeah.
She's gallivanting overseas, so you might get the nod for that. Well, James, that's all I've got.
That's a lot as far as the news is concerned. Look forward to Graham Hawkins and Lee Scribanti talking about the Bloodstock South Africa 2-year-old sale, which is coming up.
JJ the jet plane, he knows he's something special and he stretches out in scintillating fashion. You're 6 lengths clear now, JJ. JJ the jet plane, we'll never see this type of performance again.
Hi, welcome to another edition of Your Call, and we've got Lee Scribanti and Graham Hawkins who've come in to join us. Lee is a council member of the TBA and Graham Hawkins is from Gold Circle. We're going to be talking about the upcoming 2-year-old sale, which is on the 18th and 19th up in Gauteng, and it's been a sale that's had great success over the years. And Lee and Graham, thanks very much for coming in. And Lee, let's start with you. It's been the source of many champions.
No, it certainly has, and you know, we were talking off air. Horses like the Apache, Bella Bella, who was the other one? JJ, yeah, JJ the jet plane. Probably,
I've got a list here, Lee,
probably the cheapest,
I've just done a little bit of homework. Someone's done it for me, but many Group 1 winners, and Graham, colts and fillies. If you know, people paid top dollar for a filly like Bella Bella and then for a colt like Jackson, and look at the success they've had.
Yeah, well, the 2-year-old sale has traditionally been the source of good horses at varying prices. You know, as you say, Bella Bella was in excess of $1 million, but she had a 5-star pedigree, and of course she's worth a hell of a lot more than that now that she's a Grade 1 winner. Susan bought it, and of course it was consigned to the sale by Chevrolet Stud. And then you've got JJ the jet plane as an international group winner, costing only $70,000. You've mentioned obviously those in between. So, you know, you're trying the Apache. Many international winners of the sale. It's quite interesting. Dane Julia won in New Zealand.
That's right.
The Apache won.
Iridescence
won in Australia.
We've got another one.
JJ the jet plane won in Hong Kong.
Forries Waltz.
Yeah. And we've got Noah from Goa going over. That's gone.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. I'm just going through them. There's at least 6 kinds of sale that are campaigned internationally. That Scribo speaks for itself.
Well, it certainly does, and you know, I keep to Conor phrase of what Mike de Kock always says: if you want quality in a bargain, you go to the national sale or you go to the sale.
Why should people go here, Graham? What do you think? Why should someone say, I'm going to wait till the 2-year-old sale? The prices might be a bit more affordable, because at some sales it's big money.
Yeah, it's getting tough to the ring is becoming competitive. It's becoming very competitive. But, you know, the National 2-year-old sale has always brought something for everybody. There's the bread and butter stallions are solidly represented. But again, the top 10 sires are also well represented. Trippy, congratulations to Drakenstein, champion sire. He's got 3 on the sale. Captain L has got 4. Dynasty's got 5. Give me the green light, who's suddenly the flavour of the month, having sired a couple. He's got 10 on the sale. And, you know, Karari, good value for money. He's probably worth more than what he sells for in the ring. And another good group winner over the season. Pathfork's got 5. Karari's got 6. And then, as I said, amongst the bread and butter stallions, who, you know, to keep us all in the game, you know, you go there and you can afford to buy them and put syndicates and partnerships together. So there's something for everybody from the minimum bid all the way up to 7 figures.
Yeah, so it's a great sale. Now, the times of the sales, people will need to know when the times are. You're going for an evening start, guys.
Yeah, the reason for that, Laf, is that, you know, Thursday is also racing I still call it the Transvaal in the Highveld, and so it is a short session. I mean, Graham's one of the auctioneers, and I think there's 80 horses.
85 and night starting at 6 o'clock.
So, you know, by sort of 9:30, 10, you finish, which is normal, and then the next day we start at 11, if I remember correctly. So you'll be finished by 6. You know, which is, you know, it's also the 11 o'clock start has come by because of demand from the likes of yourselves, trainers, owners, etc. So we've gone back to that.
Yeah, you've gone back to it. Now, you're a breeder, Piemonte stud, and you want to send horses. What makes you go to the sale? I know we did say earlier, we spoke about why it's value on the sale, but is it a big factor when they fold down?
It is. It is a factor when they fold down, but it is also the horse itself. You know, if you know, there were horses that I've got on, me personally, that I've got on this sale, 3 of them in fact, that were entered for the national sale, which I took out of the national sale because they weren't quite there. And it's amazing how much 2 or 4 months makes in a horse's life at this stage.
Yes.
And I mean, you know, you can see it. You know, these are far better presented horses now, as opposed to had I presented them at the national sale, just me as a breeder.
Just to stay with you for a moment, Scribo, you know, you've got a situation where you've got to send these horses to sales, and you start going through your drafts and saying, I'm going to send this here and I send that there. What guarantees you got that if you wait for the last one, you're going to get on the sale?
Well, this one you got a guarantee because we take all the horses on the 2-year-old sale. Sibaya is a lot of it is inspected,
yes,
and pedigree, and obviously your national sale is a strict inspection and very much pedigree driven as well. Yeah. So you know yourself as a breeder, apart from me saying which one hasn't conformed, you say, well, this one is definitely a national candidate. Does the horse conform? Yes. Okay, you enter it into the national. Not a guarantee you're going to get on.
Yeah. Sorry, Graham.
Yeah, it's interesting what Lee's just said, you know, about the inspection side of it. The national 2-year-old sale is, I don't want to say it's an all-comers sale, but you obviously got to do your homework. But what was very interesting is there's JJ the jet plane wouldn't have got him to any other sale. He would have been disqualified from any sale where there was any kind of inspection because, you know, he walked around the sales ground like a duck and they bought this Jetmaster for 70,000. And it just goes to show, you know, in this wonderful sport of ours, and that's what keeps us all in the game. That's what keeps the dream alive. Is that there are no rules. Yeah. There are no rules. I remember when we were still in the days, in the early 90s of the Bloodline Millions, there was a Harry Hotspur colt that walked around like this. And David Makins bought it. I don't know if you can remember the name of it. Anyway, it won the Bloodline Million. You know, he bought it for 20,000 Rand at that time for a Harry Hotspur, going for the Bloodline Million, which were the races we had for 2-year-olds. And of course now Is it great that we've got some races attached to this catalogue, which we can talk about in a moment. But, you know, there are no rules in the game. There are probabilities.
Yes.
And obviously, the probabilities are that well-conformed, well-bred horses will perform better than poorly conformed, poorly bred horses.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you go down the history book, go through the history books and you think about Ever Fair that Johnny Nicholson bought for 500 Rand that nobody wanted, etc., and all to the modern day, you'll find those exceptions to the rule.
It's a worldwide thing.
It is, absolutely, it's a worldwide thing. And I think it's what makes the game what it is, because if, you know, we've said so many times that racing is about, you know, it's about a difference of opinion. If we all had the same opinion, it was all so easy, you wouldn't have an industry, you wouldn't have a sport, and we'd all be lining up to marry the same girl. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, no, that's very interesting news, but let's have a break for a moment. We've got our sponsors to think of. We are this week, Awesome Adam winning again, one of the Magic Millions graduates, and Zodiac Ruler, runner-up in the Group 1 behind Gunner. So the Magic Millions graduates coming to fore again. Right, and we were back talking about the sale, the upcoming 2-year-old sale, 18th and 19th up in Gauteng. And Graham, I'm going to move on to the aspect now that you have put on, it seems to be a worldwide trend now, putting on big races with big money attached to certain sales. And this is the case again.
Yes, well, I think in this coming Saturday, we will see 2 1 million Rand races at Scottsville, 1 over a mile, for newly turned 3-year-olds, for the graduates of last year that are eligible. In other words,
it's Sunday, isn't it?
It's Sunday the 14th, yeah. Sunday the 14th, and this weekend. So those horses that were sold last year, and where the owners and everybody ticked the right boxes, etc., and rendered them eligible, we've got a 1,200-metre sprint for $1 million. Bearing in mind these have just turned 3, and a mile million at both at Scottsville on Sunday.
Let me just qualify this. These horses that are eligible for these $1 million Rand races you're putting on the 14th come from which sales?
They come from all of the TBA sales from last year, where the box was ticked and the required series fees were paid, etc. This catalogue for this year, looking ahead to next year, has its own 2 races. So,
so only off that catalogue?
Only off this catalogue. The sale on the 18th and 19th, that's next Thursday, Friday.
Wow,
and what's slightly different is that the fillies will have their own race. So they're both the $1 million Rand races are going to be over 1,400 metres at Scottsville as newly turned 3-year-olds next year. And they will compete in separate races. So there'll be a race for the colts and there'll be a race for the fillies.
That's Scribber, it's a hell of a good idea, you know. So people out there just listening, if you're listening to us now, this sale coming up, you've got a chance. It's not a huge sale. You've got a chance to buy a colt and a filly and compete in both, Scribber.
Yes, yeah, you know, left on this sale, yeah, there's approximately 280 horses. So you're going to get 32 horses that have got a chance to run in this race, and you know, if you look at the Breeders' Day that we had here at Greyville, the horses that qualified for that race, I mean, we all know, you're a trainer, horses do come on later in life, some come on a little bit earlier, but in that field of 14, if I remember correctly, there were only 5 horses that had won a race.
Is that right?
So you've got a chance.
Yeah, you've got a shot.
Yeah, you've got a shot, and you know, there's also a novel, or we're trying something this year as well with the weights that horses are going to carry.
Yeah, you're a council member, and James and I spoke about this concept you guys have put out there. You had James actually looked into it further than I did, and he came back and said to me that you guys, your mind is set in this, because we had a trainers meeting and we said, what do you guys think of this? And there were mixed reactions.
Yeah,
how was it with you guys?
Well, it would. There would be mixed reactions because, you know, human nature, all of us, we don't like change. And but you know, if you don't try something, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And this is based on the weights, etc., are based on
purchase price.
Yeah, on what they do overseas. So we're not inventing
the wheel,
reinventing the wheel. It's reality. It happens out there.
So you know, I'll just tell you, as I say, when we put it out to our gang out there, Graham, as well, and we said, "What do you think?" And they said, if you go up to 100 grand, you're going to. I'm just using figures. You're going to carry 52, and if you go to 254, and people are saying once you go above 100, you're going to go up in weight on that race if you qualify. Is it not a stumbling block? Say, hey, I'm not going past that amount. Are you not? Is it? Are we not shooting ourselves in the foot to a degree? What do you think, Graham?
No, I don't think so. I think obviously the sales races are a bonus, and if you're ready for them, that's great. But I mean, if you're going after a horse that you really like, you're not going to stop at 100,000 because you're going to carry 54, and if you go 120, you're going to carry 56. As Lee quite rightly points out, auction races overseas, many of them are based on the weights are based on various price bands. Obviously, the bands are quite liberal, and from 400,000 rand up, you'll carry 60. So whether you pay 450 or $1 million, you're still going to carry 60. It's something novel. It is something new. As Lee said, we don't like change. I think the idea of having a fillies-only race is a real positive.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, the jury will be out as to whether the weight structure is seen to be fair or otherwise. But in a debate like this, you're going to get differences of opinion. Yeah. And I guess there's no right answer or wrong answer. I think it's just going to be.
You buy a horse for sale just for one race.
No, I don't think that's realistic.
You buy it for a career.
You're buying it for the career. I mean, one recognises that, as Lee said, horses develop at different stages of their careers as racehorses, and this does come pretty early. August is early in the 3-year-old career. You haven't even thought about the classics yet. Yeah. So, you know, we've seen of this catalogue in years past that we've got classic horses. We've been talking about it all morning. We've got 9 Silvanos in the catalogue. We've got 3 Trippies, you know, 4 Oratorios, 5 Dynasties. These horses you're not going to be buying just for the race. You're going to be buying for their careers. But what is interesting is if you go there and you buy yourself a nice little cheapie and it shows some ability, you know, you've got a chance. You've got a chance. Absolutely, and you'll carry less weight and you've got a chance.
Any Fortwood mares?
Well, interestingly, I haven't been through the whole catalogue, but I mean, he's now absolutely dominating the Broodmare Championship. He won the title this year by quite a distance, whereas in the general size list, of course, it went right down to the wire between Trippy and Silvano. It was an exciting race, and it could have, and Captain L just behind. Captain L, of course, again,
2-year-old,
champion, 2-year-old sire, etc. So, but Fortwood has firmly established himself as a clear champion amongst the broodmare sires. Interesting that Eliodor is still riding high, even though, of course, his population of mares out there is starting to dwindle. It's interesting to go through all of those stats, you know, because it's what makes up the industry, and it's based on bloodlines and it's based on confirmation, you know.
I think a great tick in the right boxes by going to Rupert, by going out there and buying this Trippy, and she's starting to do it to a lesser degree with philanthropists.
Well, you say to a lesser degree. I mean, obviously both philanthropists and Pathwalker got off to great starts, haven't they? I mean,
no, without a doubt. And you know, and I've said this before. You've all heard me say this. You know, us the breeders, the jury comes out too quickly on these horses. Let me give you an example. Last year, I could not sell 2 horses, Argonauts.
Yes.
So I don't want an Argonaut.
Suddenly it's turned.
Well, it has turned. But, you know, I bought the mares in foal to Argonaut.
Yeah.
Someone said to me, unfortunately, but for me it was fortunate in that they are now number 1 and number 2 in Port Elizabeth.
Tomorrow being one of them.
Yeah. So I couldn't sell that, James. No, I couldn't even get a bid for 10,000.
I'm D's.
Oh, you
James. I'm not James. I'm
D's.
No, it's very, very intimate. As I say, well done again. It's very, it's so true. People, you know, I read an article the other day, and I wish I could recall it. 11 stallions who became champion stallions who failed in their first year.
Well, you know, interestingly, it does. You know, all the literature that I have read. In America, they believe that a horse or stallion will settle down in his 4th year.
Yes, your champion status by 4th year,
yeah,
correct.
And you know, the jury also came out on Trippy, if you remember.
Absolutely.
When Gainor's horses were first being sold, they went for good money. Yeah. And then there was a dip.
That's right. Because
you know, I bought a couple of Trippy fillies, so I've got them as broodmares.
That's right.
And of course now he's on the up.
Now he's flying. Yeah, you remember it took for the lads to turn people around. You know, you're absolutely right. But
philanthropist, as Graham quite rightly says, was another one. They all said he's a sausage dog. He's got a head this size. You know, that to me, if you have a look at the offspring of philanthropists, there's not one that looks like him.
No.
really.
He's throws them out there
and they can run, we know that.
They can run.
But you go back, it's interesting when you get into the stallion discussion, because I've been involved as an auctioneer for many, many years, seen the approaching of many different stallions. And it seems to me that there's a particular type that also suits South Africa. I'm not saying it's not a one-size-fits-all, so let me make that very clear. Royal Prerogative was a highly quality horse, and he did really well. But when you think about Jungle Cove and what he looked like, and Del Sarto and what he looked like, I mean, you know, I'm not surprised they got them out of America as fast as they could get them out of America, because you could almost, you know, they were very plain, large. I'm trying to be as kind as I can, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and the fact is that Jungle Cove was a magnificent stallion. So they do well. Those workman-like stallions with size, I think they do well. Their progeny do well in South Africa. It's not all about being pretty quality horses. You like to see a nice quality stallion. As I said, Royal Prerogative was such a horse, and he was a success. You know, you must never prejudge. You can't judge the book by its cover. It's at the end of the day, even the yearlings may not look pretty. I mean, Jungle Cove's yearlings didn't necessarily look pretty, but they were workmanlike and they could run like hell.
That's the case. Just getting back a moment, I just want to clear something up. This sale, which we're coming up, they've got the 2 races for $1 million, over 400 metres at Scottsville. One is the Colts, one's the fillies. Now, can the fillies run in the Colts?
Well, I'll leave Lee to answer that.
The gun's pointed at you.
Pointed at me. I would say, in this case, you know, normally the fillies can run in the Colts race. But I think, specifically because, and that's obviously something we haven't looked at, you've got a Colts race, so Colts. You've got a fillies race, fillies. Fillies cannot race in the Colts.
It's actually quite specific, referring back to the catalogue. It's one for Colts and geldings, and one for fillies. So
so you can't have bite two good fillies.
You can't have bite of the chest. So the one is very clearly for Colts.
And the last question I've got to put to you guys with regard to this is that this new handicapping system, which is related to purchase price, is it applying to those 2 million races?
Yes.
Both of them? Not one, both of them. So, and that's the only time it's been trialled, is that correct?
In this country.
In this country, yes.
Yes, and obviously if it doesn't work, or if it works to a degree, you know, you tinker it and
get it right.
Yeah, and look, we from a council point of view, we would listen to anybody, and everybody, and you know, if it doesn't work, let's try something. If it works, well and good. If it doesn't work, we try something else or whatever. But if you don't try, you're not going to.
How many you got in the cell?
Lev, I've actually marked the catalogue for you. I've got 12, and there's 12 good ones here.
I only want the good ones.
Nothing like a free commercial. Nothing like a free commercial.
And just for, a lot of people get the name of your stud wrong. How do you actually pronounce it?
Piemonte.
And it comes from?
It comes from northern Italy. It's one of the provinces of Italy. You know, you will all know Tuscany.
Tuscany, yeah.
Well, we're next to Tuscany.
Piemonte.
So we once removed.
Okay, once removed. Well,
he's in good company though at the sale, because all of the top studs, apart from the top stallions, all of the top studs are well represented. Highlands, Mainchons, Ascot, Farsfontein, Maritzfontein, who are the breeders, of course, of Marinaresco and are going through a purple patch. They're all well represented, as are many other studs. I mean, it's impossible to mention them all, but as we said, you know, there's something for everybody. You can go to the sale if you're looking to spend 100,000. If you do your homework, in today's terms, 100,000 is not a lot for a thoroughbred racehorse, as you know. But if you do your homework, and you need to do your homework, because as you said, there was no inspection for this sale, you can find yourself a nice horse.
Absolutely. Well, boys, it's been an absolute pleasure having you both here. Thanks very much, Graham. Thanks very much, Scribbo. There are the facts, and you've got to get out there. Thursday evening, the 18th, there's 85 lots coming under the hammer. Graham will be knocking down that hammer. Try and buy a horse to qualify for $1 million, and the next day buy the filly that can win the fillies version. That's your call for this week.
Bye.